Hello there. This is Rebecca, and I wanted to jump on and give an update on everything going on in my world and kind of fill everyone in and talk about some things that we have coming up and maybe solicit some advice from the YouTube universe or folks that may have some suggestions on some of the decisions we have to make. So it is a Friday evening and my kids are in bed and I had a few minutes, so I decided to jump on. If you haven't noticed, I am not a super fancy YouTube filmer, and I'm not all dressed up. I'm just here and doing the best I can. The last time that I filmed last Monday was the first time I think I really filmed without a wig on or hair. And obviously I have a cap on right now. And that's because it's been a long day and I wore a wig today. And wigs are not comfortable. I don't care if they're super fancy or not. They're not comfortable. And the temperature is dropping, so my head gets cold because I don't have hair. And it is what it is. And I'm sure you don't care, but I feel like I have to have a disclaimer because it's just weird when you see yourself and you don't have hair, but I digress. So, like I was saying, the last time I filmed, I was on the tail end of like my really bad days of the chemo regimen, the second cycle of the TCHP, and I was pretty vulnerable. It was a pretty raw video. I was really feeling bad, but I wanted to be able to capture that because the reality is you just don't feel good when you do chemo. And I think it's really hard to understand that when you're young and you feel like you should have all this energy and you have the mentality that you can not feel good for a couple of days and get over it and you should rebound. Chemo doesn't really work that way. You just don't feel good and it doesn't really go away. And it builds on each cycle, and the regimen that I'm on right now that has the 6 hard cycles, I am excuse me, coming on the tail end of the second one. So next week I'll do the 3rd cycle. So I'm almost halfway there. I think last time I said I was a third of the way there. So I'm trying to think of it like we're almost, we're getting to the finish line. Halfway there is good. I can do it next week. When you're in the middle of the cycle, sometimes you don't feel like you could do another one. But right now I know I can. It's just been an interesting experience so far. Not one that I really want to repeat, but I'm going to have to do it 4 more times, and I can. The video that I filmed last time that you can find on my YouTube page, if you haven't seen it, I was, like I said, I was really feeling terrible, and emotional about it. And after that video, I still had several days where I really didn't feel that great. My energy was down and I was having a hard time eating. It really kind of went through the rest of the week. I'm very lucky because I could work from home. I went in a couple of days last week, but I really worked from home the majority of the time. My energy was pretty down. But that's okay. This week has been good for a couple of reasons. One, my kids have spring break this week. So today's Friday. So this is like the last real day of their spring break. But before I had been diagnosed, I had taken this week off from work because we figured we would go somewhere fun and do something fun. But with the chemo and all of that and the energy and just all the things, we didn't go anywhere, but I still took that week off. My kids were still home from school, and we tried to make the best of it. I'm very lucky that, that my boss understood that, people at work understood that. So I still took the week off, even though it wasn't for the chemo or for the cancer. It was just, annual leave. I didn't really know how that was going to work out when I got diagnosed because I have to take time off, obviously, for cancer treatments. But it worked out, and I was able to be with my kids all week. It wasn't what we thought it would be before all of this, but it was good for a couple of reasons. I got to spend time with them, but also I was able to really rest because I really am. The fatigue is real and hard on your body. So it's good that I was able to be home and rest and not have to worry about working and all of that. And my husband took, a child to work with him on Monday, and on Wednesday, he took my other daughter to work with him. So it was a good thing. He worked from home on Tuesday and had today and Thursday off. So we were able to just be low key at home. And then a couple of days we did some fun things. Like we went to the zoo. We went to, the children's museum today for a couple hours. They weren't all day experiences, or it wasn't like going to a theme park, but we were able to spend quantity time together. Excuse me. And that was a good thing. Right now, I think it's really important that we spend time together and do the fun things and kind of try to distract from the reality of this. And so I'm really grateful that we were able to do that. And you just have to look at the positive things, right? you gotta take the positives and hold on to them and make the memories and all of that. So that's what we did. In addition to that, I've had a lot on my mind about going forward and what that looks like. So when we met with the oncologist last week, actually, I met with his nurse practitioner, and she was very nice. I hadn't met her yet. I'm very lucky because my oncologist is fantastic, and his nurse practitioner was equally as fantastic. They take the time to just sit down and ask questions. We ask questions, they answer the questions, and they validate how I feel, and that's important. When you're going through something like this, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of physical things that happen to your body, and it's draining physically and emotionally. And when your oncologist, your doctors know that and empathize with that and validate that, it means a lot. So, because I feel crazy half the time, and I'm not used to being sick. So I appreciate that they understand where I'm coming from. And so at that appointment, we talked about what's coming up. And I think I've talked about this before, about how they were going to do additional tests after this next round. So on Tuesday, I go in for round 3, or cycle 3 of the TCHP. And that's the halfway point. Well, they are going to do testing to see if they can tell changes in my tumors and lymph nodes and all of that. So I believe what I thought was going to happen was that they were going to do another ultrasound. However, they're not going to do an ultrasound. They're going to do an MRI, a breast MRI, which I'm glad about because I've had terrible experiences with the ultrasounds in the sense that the first ultrasound that I got, I really felt like I was crazy for even being there because I didn't, the ultrasound tech made it seem like she couldn't feel anything or see anything and that there was nothing to worry about. And then the second ultrasound that I had was a result of my MRI, my first breast MRI that found suspicious nodules in my suspicious lymph nodes and concerns in the imaging on both breasts, and it recommended that I have additional biopsies. And then when I got to the ultrasound, I had to really fight for them to even do an ultrasound. And I may have talked about that in my first video. I honestly can't remember, but I believe I have intentions of kind of giving more in-depth videos about all of the imaging tests that I've done and how that went, but it wasn't fantastic. I will just say that. I really had to advocate for them to find the correct diagnosis, and it was very emotionally draining, mentally draining to do that. And honestly, it makes me like not trust having ultrasounds. But we're not going to do an ultrasound this time. We're going to do another MRI. And I think that that's why my oncologist wanted to do that. And to be fair, what my oncologist has told me about my tumor, which is on my right side, was significantly in size. And the two lymph nodes in my, like under my armpit, my tumor in my breast presents differently than like typical tumors. It's not like one like solid mass. It has like arms and legs and whatever. It is weirdly shaped. And maybe that's why the ultrasound folks didn't think it was significant during the first ultrasound. I'm not really sure. But the MRI catches it, and however it presents, the MRI is going to catch it. So we have good imaging from that first time. So it'll be I guess, good comparison from what they say. So I have that on the April 16th, which is a week after my third dose of the chemo. And then we meet with the oncologist again on the 18th. I'll probably do a video to kind of update how I'm feeling before then. I'm not sure, but that's the plan for right now for the testing. The other thing that we talked about, and I'm just really conflicted on right now, because I want to make sure that I make right decisions and I talk to the right people and all of that. So what we talked about was the game plan going forward past chemo. So I have the 6 rounds of chemo, and then 4 to 6 weeks after the last chemo, which is right now, if everything goes as scheduled, my last part of the hard chemo is on June 11th. So 4 to 6 weeks after that, I will have surgery, and I'll have a bilateral mastectomy. And so we've been talking about that because I'm still trying to decide on the path that I want to go for that and surgeons and all of that. So when I met last week and then I was talking to the nurse practitioner about that, um, kind of trying to feel her out on if she knew who my original surgical oncologist was and the plastic surgeon that I consulted with, if she knew her and reputations, and talking about second opinions and reconstruction and different options. So we had that conversation, and I feel like, okay, so I work better with a schedule, with a game plan. And some people come in and they already know who their surgeon is, they already know who their plastic surgeon is going to be, and all they have to do is call them and just set a date after their last chemo and they go forward. And that may be what I end up doing. But also, I don't know if I have the right surgeons, whether it's the breast surgeon or the plastic surgeon, because of the whole experience with being diagnosed in the first couple of appointments and interactions that I had with my breast surgeon. They weren't like the best. It wasn't like the best feeling. And it put a little bit of doubt in me with the breast surgeon. With the plastic surgeon, I was a little unsure at first about her, just from, doing the internet searching and things like that. When I met with her, she was very, very nice. I believe I've mentioned this before. She was the first person that actually immediately said that she felt my tumor, which was before it had even been diagnosed as the HER2 positive, where it's the stage 3. I mean, when I met with the plastic surgeon the first time, I was still thinking, I was still told that it was just DCIS. It was nothing serious. It was just a stage 0. And I couldn't understand that. And when she touched me for the first time, she was like, oh no, this is significant in size. I absolutely feel this. And so I appreciated that. She was very, very honest about what she does and her methods and what she doesn't do. So, there's different types of reconstruction that you can do where you can move fat from one part of your body and to rebuild your breast, or you can do implants. And she only does the implants. She doesn't do anything else. And she said, if you were looking for another type of reconstruction procedure, you're going to need to go somewhere else for that. Well, in my mind, the breast surgeon and the plastic surgeon kind of go hand in hand because they can piggyback off of each other in the same day. I think that that's easiest. I think I prefer that. And, part of me feels like I need to get another opinion and I need to see someone else. I have talked to friends that have seen plastic surgeons and breast surgeons in Georgetown and in Charleston. I'm in the Midlands in South Carolina. My oncologist or nurse practitioner had some suggestions of other folks that are in our area. And so we just have had those conversations. I've been thinking really heavily about whether or not I should just stay with, who I know. And to be fair to my breast surgeon, once we got the correct diagnosis, I mean, she has been, she was really good. She put in my port. I don't know that she's just a breast surgeon, though, and that kind of bothers me. And when I was talking to my nurse practitioner, who I really love, she kind of told me to go to the reconstruction or to the plastic surgeon and the reconstruction options and decide who I want that person to be, and then go to the breast surgeon. I don't know that that is the best thing for me because plastic surgery, the reconstruction part is important. That's an important procedure. I get that. But really, my priority is whoever goes in and does the mastectomy, that they get everything out and that they understand breast cancer and lymph nodes and they know what to look for. And so I get a little bit nervous when I'm not fully confident that it's a breast surgeon, but you hear so many different opinions from everyone. When you go online and you try to research different doctors, there are different thoughts. When you talk to other doctors or people that you know, they have different thoughts. And so right now, I feel a lot of pressure with that because this is important. Like the surgery is important. We got to get it all out. I mean, we're doing the chemo right now and hopefully that kills all of it before surgery. But I'm nervous that it's in my lymph nodes. I'm nervous that there could be something that has traveled somewhere else in my body. And the breast surgery part of it to get it all out is more important to me than the reconstruction. So I just really want to make sure that I have the right surgeon and that I feel comfortable. And I don't know that I feel comfortable, but I also have questions about going somewhere else. So I feel like I'm all over the board on that. I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't know. I don't know what will make me feel better. When I first got diagnosed with all of this, and when we realized that it could be, excuse me, when we realized that it wasn't going to be stage 0 and that it was something else, and they hadn't quite staged it yet. I mean, we were having conversations about going to MD Anderson or somewhere else if it was stage 3 or stage 4. But by the time that I got that diagnosis and it had, so many weeks had gone by, we really just needed to get started. So we started with the oncologist here, and I really, really, really love my oncologist. So I feel very confident that staying here and starting all of this was the right decision. And my oncologist is very supportive of going anywhere else for the surgery, any of that. Like they're not necessarily, they're not tied to a hospital system or to a certain doctor. They are very open to doing what makes me feel comfortable. So that's good. But, that they're not the surgeons. He's not the surgeon that will do the do the mastectomy and reconstruction. So I wish that he was. I wish one doctor could just do it all. But there's so many doctors in all of this, and that is frustrating. But that's where we are. Also, the problem with getting all of the second opinions and all of that is that I'm in this cycle of doing chemo every 21 days. And for about 14 to 18 days, I feel really not so great. And then I have, that last week and this past week, I've been really tired. Honestly, I probably should have been trying to call and set appointments. I have made a couple of calls and haven't gotten calls back. But I haven't been aggressive about it because I'm tired. And so I really need to be better this next round. So if we're going to go get second opinions, I need to get those appointments. I just haven't yet. So that's kind of where I am and everything. I'm not sure if anyone that is watching this that's local that has opinions about local surgeons, if anybody's watching this on YouTube and you have any suggestions or not, or not, if you don't have any suggestions, then that's cool. But if you have any suggestions or thoughts on how you've handled getting second opinions or the surgery stuff, I'd love to hear it because I feel very conflicted right now on that. And the anxiety gets real, as we move on. So I just want to make sure that I do everything that I can, and I don't have any regrets. And I don't know what will make me feel confident in that. And it very well may be that I will be unsettled until somebody comes back and tells me that they've gotten it all out of my body. And for a while, I probably will continue to be unsettled. And I think that that's just part of having cancer and going through this is you're going to have uncertainty and you got to learn how to handle it. And I haven't done that yet, so I'm trying. Staying positive, trying to stay positive, and that's all I can do. It's not easy. It's not easy, but we are getting by and doing the best that we can, and that's where we are. So I'm thankful for the good days, and even though I'm having to take breaks and be very deliberate in what I say yes to and what I say no to. It's just kind of where we are. And if you notice this cough, let me also tell you about what's fun about having young kids and cancer. When you have young kids, they get sick. So let's see, about the first weekend after I had this last round of chemo, when it was really, really bad, my son decided to spike a really high fever that weekend, and we obviously took him right into the doctor, and he had an upper respiratory virus, so we had to kind of stay away from him. And then a week later, my daughter also spiked a fever, and she also has some kind of virus. I mean, they have been tested for everything. We've had to keep, we've had to be really smart on interactions. And really, they've just had like coughs, but I've gotten the cough. I haven't had a fever, which is really good. We've been very diligent on that, the fever part, but life with kids, they get all the things, and all we can do is be as responsible and realistic about that as we can. And where we may not take our kids into the pediatrician, now we will, just to make sure that they don't have anything that could be really bad for me. And also to make sure that my husband stays healthy, because, he's kind of the glue that's holding all of this together at the house. So we're just doing, the best that we can. If you are watching this and you have any thoughts on anything that I've said or feedback, if you've been through all of this, please leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe to my page. I'll be posting updates as I go along, and some of them will be rambling Friday night thoughts like this one. Some of them will be where I feel really bad, like the last one. So anyways, I hope everyone is doing well, and thanks for watching this little update. I will update you after this next round, and hopefully it goes well. I have faith that, the Lord is walking me through this and holding my hand every step of the way. So I'm very thankful for that. And even when I have all these uncertainties, I know that He's got me, and this is just part of the process, and we're working through it. So He's got you too. And we are very blessed for that and thankful for that. So, all right, well, have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you next time.